Reach IV is a premium education advisory that helps students get into top-tier educational institutes globally for their undergraduate, master's, and MBA programs. Vibha Kagzi herself is an MBA from the Harvard Business School and holds a Bachelor in Science from the Carnegie Mellon University. She has a passion for education and believes that it is the ultimate social equalizer. She wishes to help young individuals reach leading educational universities globally, and so she started the Reach IV program.
I'm going to start with introducing our first speaker for the evening, Rupen Jhaveri. He graduated magna cum laude from NYU with a Bachelor's of Science in Finance. He's also been a recipient of a number of Dean's Awards for academic achievements, including the Founders Day Scholar. He's a principal at KKR India. As most of you know, KKR is one of India's leading private equity shops. Rupen, thanks a lot for being here. It's a real pleasure to have you.
Thank you for the invitation.
Our Stern MBA representative is Aprajit Bhandarkar. Aprajit earned his MBA from NYU Stern School of Business with a specialization in finance, financial markets, and entrepreneurship. He's currently the Group Executive Vice President and Head Financial and Investor Strategy at Yes Bank. Aprajit, you spent a substantial amount of your educative formative years in India, and then you went abroad to study. So for all the prospective MBAs here, can you talk about the difference you've experienced in the education system in the US as compared to India? Some of the pros and cons, some of the stark contrasts you saw between your education here and in India and the way it's taught there.
I think it's completely different. I mean, the type of stuff that you do here vis-a-vis what I mean, even if you're doing an undergrad, I think, you know, if your parents can afford it, I'm sorry to say this, but if your parents can afford it, you should definitely try and even do an undergrad abroad. The quality of education is leaps and bounds ahead. The other thing about it is that, you know, you also get to interact with a lot of people from different nationalities, and you know, each time you go to different classes, you have different and very intelligent people who just kind of you know, impress you at a very different level. So it does help to go to a fairly good university abroad for undergrad or your MBA education. I think that, I mean, it pays for itself in the long run.
Okay, let's move on to some NYU specific questions. So obviously one of the biggest reasons everyone here wants to go to NYU is because of New York City. So can you just sort of explain how this campus integrates with the city, with the Washington Square location? And you said you were right opposite the towers when 9/11 happened. Does the school lack a campus feeling? Because that seems to be the pushback from a lot of parents saying, hey, I don't want my child to be in a big city. I want my child to be in a secure campus.
Look, there's no running away from the fact that NYU is not a campus school. So I think if you're looking for a campus school, I mean, there are a bunch of universities on the other parts of the Eastern Coast or Midwest, or for that matter, California. So I think whoever's going to NYU is going with pretty much eyes wide open. Okay, it is a city-based college. But the fact is that it's a fairly large city-based college. I mean, everything down south, 8th Street, for at least 4 or 5 streets and 3-4 blocks is NYU. We do have some dorms which are quite far away, and I was unfortunate, I guess, to be near World Trade Center when it happened, but that's kind of anomaly. Most of college life is centered in a fairly walking distance for all of us, whether it's staying or educational, MBA schools, undergrad schools, etc.
Would you like to add anything from the MBA perspective?
I think from an MBA perspective, I don't think you have too much of a craving for a campus college per se. I mean, you want to go to a college which basically does extremely well in the field that you specialize in. So for finance, I think NYU will be second to none. And the other benefit is that, you know, being within, I mean, you can actually literally, if you've got good legs, you could walk it to Wall Street, or, you know, I mean, any part of New York City is within 10-15 minutes from campus. And so if you're actually on, you know, searching for jobs, I think it's that much more easier.
You know how in the US, and especially when we contrast this with the UK, the student-professor relationship is fairly casual. So was there any special relationship you shared with any of the professors, or if you could talk about a specific professor who you had a deep impact on you, even in terms of academic learning? Anything you'd like to highlight about a faculty interaction you've had?
Look, more than the specifics, I think it's important to know the cultural difference. I'll say two things. One is they'll tell you that no question is a stupid question. Okay, they encourage everyone to ask any sorts of questions. Secondly, they'll tell you there's no right or wrong. Okay, so I think that just tells you the DNA of professors, and this is not true for NYU. It's pretty much true for a lot of the Western educational system. So it helps people stand up, ask questions. You get more comfortable.
There's the scholarships that you managed to obtain. If you could just throw some light on that.
I think Stern has been fairly liberal in the last couple of years with the batches to give good scholarships. In my batch, I don't think there were too many scholarships in the first year. I think one of the girls had got a small scholarship. I had some scholarships in the second year because of academic performance. But also you do kind of cover up some of your costs by working on campus, which also helps you kind of build relationships with professors. So I probably TA'd for about 7-8 courses, which kind of covers up at least the second year living cost purely by working as a teaching assistant, and it's a good experience because you do develop good relationships with some key professors over a period of time.
Can you tell us ways in which the alumni network has actually helped or enhanced your profiles, and how have you also contributed to the NYU Stern Alumni Chapter?
I would say it's a young but growing alumni. I think we have a lot of members who've realized the benefits of being part of the alumni. So I think one, it helps to network internally. I think for all of us, what you did in the MBA, I think you pretty much continue because you may be batch of 09, there are kids in 10, 9, 8, many more, right? So you meet a lot of people from different fields of life. And one thing leads to another. You don't know which business opportunity comes from which corner. You don't know that some guy who used to be 3 years junior has, I don't know, started the next Google and you can go work for him. So I think it's very critical not to forget to take advantage of the people who've been through the same course as you are.
What, according to you, makes an ideal candidate for NYU? What is sort of the right fit NYU student, both at the undergrad and at the grad level?
Look. Frankly, my experience is obviously dated, so I don't know if things would have changed right now. But I'll tell you from our experience back in the day, they did look for a lot of diversity. Secondly, at the undergrad level, there is reasonable emphasis on results. Okay, what are your extracurricular activities? I can tell you that just because you got 98%, and these days it seems everyone gets 98%, does not help. They are looking for leadership. I think that was very clear in the way they were screening people.
I think the MBA is actually the selection process is more about the way they look at you. If I get this person into my course, what will he add and how will he be a great alumni? And that's what they want. And I think all B schools want to find winners at the end of it. And that's what makes B schools good in the sense that their alumni are successful. So they actually look to see. I mean, obviously your past record is fairly important, but what your vision is for yourself in the next few years, and that's kind of reflected in the essay. So the essay is probably the single most important thing. I think GMAT, things like that do stack up. They are all hygiene factors, but your vision about yourself and your exhibited leadership skills are what I think would be important things.
Yeah, so actually that's a very common joke between all the counselors at Reach IV. It's not that the business school makes you so successful, they just pick very successful people to start with. Everyone's smiling in the room, so thank you all for those valuable contributions. Very, very knowledgeable session. I'm ready to go back to NYU and redo my undergrad and my